Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we have seen his glory, glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. For from his fullness we have all received grace upon grace. For the law was given through Moses, grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God. God, the only Son, who is at the Father's side, he has made him known. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us. These words are so familiar to us that perhaps we skip over them too easily, just as we can tend to relegate scenes of the Nativity to the children's Christmas programs and thereby distance ourselves from this humble account. But we do well to pause and ponder these things deeply as we prepare to celebrate the birth of our God in flesh this Christmas. Because in the simplicity and humility and meekness of the child born in a shed, we get to see who our God is and how deep his love is for us sinners. Martin Luther once preached, "There is such richness and goodness in the Nativity that if we should see and deeply understand, we should be dissolved in perpetual joy." And so I want to encourage you to meditate on the great mystery of the Incarnation, the Nativity of our Lord, with childlike wonder and joy this year. In the Word becoming flesh, we have a powerful reminder of God's determination not to leave us to our own sinful desires and ways that lead to despair, but instead he came into our mess and joyless poverty and transformed it into something infinitely good and full of wonder. Who would have thought that our rescue from sin and death would depend on a helpless baby born in the humblest of surroundings and with scandal hanging over his head? And yet that's how God works. He doesn't stand far off. He doesn't shun us due to our sin or turn away from us because of our shame. Instead, he sends his only begotten Son to be born of a virgin in the lowliest of circumstances, and in him we see the fullness of God dwelling bodily. God with us, Emmanuel. God who is for us. God who saves us. And he comes to us in the miracle of a baby that we may truly know him and his love for us. That we may approach him with confidence and without fear. A baby born in a shed, destined for a cross, that you might receive forgiveness and life in his name. Now you might think there's not a lot to say about the Nativity that you don't already know, but Martin Luther would disagree. It's reported that he often preached for up to a month on the Nativity and never failed to proclaim joy and hope to his hearers. I want to share with you just a snippet from one of his sermons. He says, "Let us then meditate upon the Nativity just as we see it happening in our own lives and our own babies. I would not have you contemplate the deity of Christ, the majesty of Christ, but rather his flesh. Look upon the baby Jesus. Divinity may terrify a man. Inexpressible majesty will crush him. That is why Christ took on our humanity, except for sin, that he should not terrify us, but rather that with love and favour he should console and confirm. Behold Christ lying in the lap of his young mother, still a virgin. What can be sweeter than the babe? What more lovely than the mother? What fairer than her youth? Look at the child, knowing nothing, yet all that is belongs to him, that your conscience should not fear, but take comfort in him. Doubt nothing. Watch him springing in the lap of the maiden. Laugh with him. Look upon this Lord of peace, and your spirit will be at peace. See how God invites you in many ways. He places before you a babe with whom you may take refuge. You cannot fear him, for nothing is more appealing to man than a babe. Are you frightened? Then come to him, lying in the lap of the fairest and sweetest maid. You will see how great is the divine goodness, which seeks above all else that you should not despair. Trust him. Trust him. Here is the child in whom is salvation. To me, there is no greater consolation given to mankind than this, that Christ became man, a child, a babe, playing in the lap and at the breasts of his most gracious mother. Who is there whom this sight would not comfort? Now is overcome the power of sin, death, hell, conscience, and guilt. If you come to judge this gurgling babe and believe that he has come, not to judge you, but to save. May God grant you a joy-filled and blessed Christmas as you look upon this gurgling baby and believe that he has indeed come to save you.